I don't work at Initech anymore because I too am not a pussy. All right. So let's see. I was on the phone with John, Stella Concepts, yesterday, and we were talking about a few things. But he liked the little series I did with Robbie G. So we were talking about silver manipulation, how silver is really manipulated. And because Robbie G doesn't study the silver market specifically, I thought it would be good to bring this conversation into the little discussion about silver manipulation from a guy who studies the silver market. So he explains it pretty well. And also, I'm going to include a link to one of his videos that SGT and Bix Weir were doing this thing about silver manipulation. Is it 100 to 1 or 500 to 1? And John dispels that and actually points out how it really works. So anyway, listen to this conversation, and part of the conversation I had to cut off because the audio started getting weird. There's some echo, I think some feedback on his end. But we talked about a hyperinflation scenario also. But when we come back from you guys watching this phone conversation part, we'll talk about the hyperinflation. All right, check it out. All right, so Robbie doesn't really study the silver market specifically, and he's more of an institutional trader. So what, like, as far as everyone's talking about manipulation in the silver market, what does that actually mean? Because I can't put my finger on exactly what it is.
Well, I think, firstly, there's a lot of overblown stories about manipulation, but from my point of view, I guess there's three main points. There's two clear points, and then the second point is distinctly dividable into 2 points. Let me get through them. The first one, and the reason why I started my YouTube channel, was because of things like metals leasing, which it isn't manipulation. It's a legal process. There's nothing illegal about it, but as a result of things like metals leasing, you've got this fake supply coming onto the market that is silver that's not really for sale, that has to be returned one day. You've got this fake supply, and then it's sort of suppressing the price. So in that sense, it's a price suppressant. It's not pure manipulation, evil, behind-the-scenes, boardroom-style manipulation, but it's an investment opportunity. And that's why I guess I even started my YouTube channel. As I continued on with, investigating all these stories of manipulation, sort of boardroom style, you get the two distinct sort of, just the pure conspiracy theories, but then you get some more realistic and believable things. The first is, well, the big institutions are in it for profit. So if they can find a way to move markets and to bully the smaller players around, they're going to do it. Now, there's not really better markets to do it in than the silver market. Why? Because the longs are die-hard longs, and they've got as we know, religious view of silver. And so they're easy to bully because they're permeables. And so when you can move the price down a considerable amount and knock these speculators out, it's easy money for institutional traders. So a silver market with its low liquidity, unlike gold, which has a lot of liquidity, it's very easy for a player with a lot of money to push around the smaller guys and basically take money out of their pockets. Now, JP Morgan is currently in a lawsuit against this very, very thing we're talking about. So let's wait and see what happens as a result of the lawsuit. But the fact that they've even got to the court case means that there's something there. Where there's smoke, there's fire. So we'll see what happens there. So I do think there's that institutional bullying, the little guy, that's manipulation. The second thing is every country, well, I won't say every country, but the predominant, say the G20 countries, they manipulate their currencies. They do it overtly. They say, we're going to devalue our currency, or lately, you haven't heard much of increase of value, more we're going to devalue. I mean, the Swiss just came out a couple of weeks ago saying that if the euro ever gets below 120, we're going to prop it. Or was it the Swiss ever gets 120 to the euro, whatever it was, they're going to come in and devalue their currency. They're not the first. I think maybe about 20 countries last year said similar things. We're going to devalue our currency. Now, what that is blatant manipulation of their currency. Gold and silver is one of the biggest, touchstones of the US dollar currency. So if the US wants to manipulate their currency, like any other currency or country has with their currency, then they've got to do it against gold and silver because that's their touchstone, that's their benchmark. That's what the US dollar is measured in Empirically, sure, we've got other baskets of currencies, but the empirical measurement for the US dollar is gold and silver to some degree, and oil to another degree. So I think the US takes a vested interest in the gold and silver markets and will manipulate their currencies much like any other country does to theirs. So that just makes sense to me.
Well, what do you make of the takedown to 26 that happened last night, or I guess in the daytime where you are? But what do you think was the cause of the drop?
Well, look, I don't know if you remember my video in March, April, when silver was approaching 50. I sold pretty much all, just except for 10% of my silver, because I saw a huge sort of, well, not huge, but a bubble developing in silver. And I said, basically, from the technical point of view, I can see a consolidation of silver for the next few months. I said between $33 and $27 per ounce. That's where to retrace to. So for me, it wasn't a huge surprise. In fact, I was only off by maybe 2 months in my timing.
And you were crucified. You were crucified for it.
Oh, yeah, the diehards are going to crucify if you give the notion that silver could possibly go down even over a few months. But last night and actually over the last 3 days, I've been buying silver because it's met my retracement targets. And I'm also long silver in my trading account as well. Like, I'm bullish on silver now. I think these sorts of things are what's needed. You've got to scare the bejesus out of the weak hands, the longs, who really got in this way too late. There's a time to be a buyer, there's a time to be neutral, and there's a time to be a seller. And unless you can identify at each point, and this is much like what your mate Robbie said, unless you know where you are, at every price point along the way, you're not going to come out ahead. You've got to know when to buy, when to sell, and when to do nothing. And unless you can clearly define that, you don't know what you're doing in the markets. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about people who are just buying silver as an insurance for down the track. That's something that I would recommend everyone does at any price point. There's no good time to buy silver if you're buying it for that insurance, But for those who
there's no good time to buy it, you said?
As in there's no good versus bad time to buy it. You're always wanting to buy it, no matter what the price is. It doesn't matter if it's $5 or $50. If you're buying silver or gold, just for insurance purposes, I wouldn't wait. You don't wait for dips or anything like that. You just buy it. You've got it. You put it away. You're not trying to make money out of it, so it doesn't matter when you get it. Is my point. Life insurance is something you pay every month, and you hope you never use it. You don't care, if you ever get your payout because you're dead.
Right. All right. So, and we also talked about hyperinflation. And I was pointing out the fact that if you go to the Weimar Republic or any hyperinflationary period, you could pick out points of data on the chart that showed that silver and gold do really well in a hyperinflationary scenario, but you could also find data that supports it does horribly in the same deal. Like, you could take the Weimar Republic and take out a month where silver does awesome in hyperinflation and take out a month where it does horrible. So, but he brought up a good point, and you can't really use history as a reference on that, because the world is much smaller right now because of technology, and we're all interconnected globally, financially. And in that period of time, it was an isolated incident in a certain part of the world, right? So who knows how it'll fare now? A lot of people that buy it, including myself, bought it because they thought it would hedge well against inflation. So we're just throwing ideas around here and trying to bring some more things into the conversation. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and we'll probably have some more conversations about that. And then I'm going to have another one with Robbie G sometime this week on here. So anyway, you guys take it easy, all right? Peace.